Thrand here, and I am here with the Viking shield or skjaldur. Today we're going to be testing different versions of shields with different forms of lamination. This one here is one that I used to fight with, and it actually has 2 layers of linen back and front laminated with casing glue or milk glue. I propose that that could be a method as well as rawhide, although rawhide was probably cheaper back then. And there's an old Saxon text, according to Mike Lodes in his video that he did on shields, that says that all shields by law had to be covered with a heavy oxen rawhide. Today we're going to test a shield very much to be used like in a holmganga. I think that's what these are, the ones that I use to actually train with and practice with, are 1 layer of cloth on each side. It has some protective ability and resist cuts, but I don't think it would hold up to the war bows, the heavy war bows and the kind of tremendous blows it would get in combat. So we're going to test one that has rawhide on it. That would be equivalent with the linen behind it of heavy oxen rawhide, and 8 layers of linen back and front on the other portion of the shield. We'll start off with one much like used in holmganga that I think would fall apart easily and be made easily. And yes, for combat, you would use it in a manner very much like this, the large 3-foot rounds we find in the Viking Age and the migrational era. But for arrows, you would hold it out in front of you as far as you possibly could. So if an arrow happened to make it through, your armor might stop it from behind, or you might be far enough away that it might not hit you. So let's get started. We'll start with our lightest shield today. One I believe very much like they use in holmganga, that were designed to be torn up as you went through shields, as you traded blows.
And tossed away.
As we've done in all the other tests, I'm going to start off with our triangular bodkin to see what it does to the shield. It has the highest chance of going through and going the deepest. So let's see what happens. I would say we stuck in the shield. We did make it through a ways. We made it through, I would say, a good 3 inches. Held at arm's length, this would do nothing. Mike Lodes' test, they shot a lindenwood shield with no covering. So a lot of people have proposed that maybe these 1/4 inch shields that tapered down to 1/5 of an inch on the edge might have not been covered by anything. My problem with that is, as you see in his test, it split the shield and went straight through. Just with a layer of linen on the front and back, and hide glue or casing glue like milk glue, you can see the difference. This is a 1/4 inch thick shield, and let's see what happens. I'll try one more time with the same arrow. There we go. Let's see what happened. I hit a wee bit lower. And it might have made it through and hit the wood, I can't tell. Maybe not. I don't think so.
Still at arm's length, that is not going to hit the person.
Still it would not, even with a shield this lightweight, with just cloth on the back and front. This arrow didn't make it through. Let's try a razor head. Okay, if y'all are curious out there how to make a shield like this, we have a video called How to Make a Period Viking Shield. Let's go ahead and try again, and we're going to use a razor head, which I think has the least chance of going through from being slowed down cutting through the actual shield, but we will see. We got about the same penetration. Even with the razor head, it wasn't able to go much deeper. As long as you were holding it, even if you were holding it up against your body with your elbow, right here, this would have been very scary right in your face, but it wouldn't have hit you. Now remember, this is probably the lightest shield with 1/4 inch wood, with the least amount of reinforcement it could possibly have, lamination. Top here we have 8 layers of linen and milk glue or casing glue, front and back. There's 4 in the front, 4 in the back. This is extremely protective. I expect it to do very well, much better than 1 layer front and back. And it's a 1/4 inch shield. Down here we have thinner rawhide than would be used. They would use a heavy oxen rawhide according to Saxon law. And I'm assuming the Vikings would have done anything less because it was a cheap material and made good shields. That's why you see the tribesman running around with his hide shield on a frame, because a lot of times that's all it takes is the hide itself to stop the arrow. Linden wood's very flexible, and a lot of times they would use woods like that because the shield would give when it impacted it. But here we have those 2 layers over the same 4 layers on front and back, making 8 layers of linen, and the rawhide front and back equal to the heavy oxen rawhide in my opinion. So we will test both. Sorry about all the bow videos, but I got loaned this bow. It's not one that I normally keep on hand here. So I'm trying to get them all out of the way. Yes, this is kind of a reply to Matpat as well. I hate to add that in, but I do get obsessed with stuff. And he forgot all about the shields. Everybody at that time period, the Saxons, the Vikings, the Normans, everyone would have had shields like this if they did not have the Bayou style strap-on shield, which could be quite heavier if needed to be for horseback and lances and so on. It needed to be heavier because it's worn up next to the arm. So, no offense, but it would not be 1/4 inch on a Bayou shield, just to let everyone know this. Those would be much thicker. Let's go ahead and try our 8 layers of linen and see what happens with our bodkin style point. Whoa! I do not think it went as deep. We managed to get it through. I am quite impressed. The bodkin style point made it through when many points wouldn't, but we've got maybe a little over an inch, an inch and a half maybe. Much less than we had on our other attempt with the lighter shield, more like you use in Holmgänge. This is a V-skjold or a war shield, meaning it's something you would carry into battle, and it would be extremely light if that's all you had was these layers here. Not that bad. The razor head against the 4 layers front and back, which makes 8 layers of linen and milk glue, and see what happens. With an actual razor head, which actually is harder to go through materials like this, it's not as good as trying to cut through, let's say, gambeson or something where it can go deeper. We actually stopped it. I would consider that perfectly all right. No one would be harmed by that unless it was against your arm. And like I said, these were never against your arm if they were held correctly. They would at least be somewhat out even fighting with them. I shall actually try to hit the area that I think is equivalent to the heavy oxen rawhide front and back on a 1/4 inch shield. Let's see what happens. It didn't make it in at all. To see if that was a fluke, I'm going to go ahead and shoot it once more. But one time it didn't even make it through. And, as I suspected, much like Mike Lode's test with his one rawhide, it didn't even go through the shield. Yes, it didn't even make it through the back of the shield. Alright, I shall try to shoot the spot that's like heavy oxen rawhide front and back, like was spoke of in the text supposedly, and let's see how that performs, which I'm almost positive all these shields were covered like this for war. And with heavy rawhide, it's much lighter than trying to combine the materials as well, like I did on this one. We have about the same result. A little less. If you had some slight padding on your arm with a shield like this, I don't think they would even hurt you. It barely went through, like, I would say a 1/16 of an inch made it through on the back side. That's it, about a 1/16 of an inch. If anything, that's very, very small. Your armor would protect you. Well, I think we've certainly proven that Mike Lode's video about the Saxon shield or Anglo-Saxon shield is accurate. Even the Vikings, I am positive, would have had covering on their shield, whether it be many layers of linen, which we have documented from other cultures, or rawhide, which I think rawhide would be the most common one. But rawhide's eaten by bugs easily, so is the glue, being milk glue or casein glue, which is most commonly used on shields and stuff like that at the time period. We wouldn't find anything, probably the preserved wood. And we would think the shield was only a 1/4 inch thick or possibly to a 1/5 of an inch if it was tapered in that manner. But today we've seen the shield hold up, and why covering or laminating is so important. And technically, when you see how well the rawhide performed with a little bit of linen behind it, if it was thicker rawhide, it would perform the exact same way, even from a heavier bow. So we have to assume that almost everybody had covering like this on their shields, especially the lighter shields that are being held in the hand. And mostly, your wood was a covering that was flexible to hold your laminations on it to stop arrows and such. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and it was a minor reply to Matpat. If the Viking used his shield correctly, or any warrior at that time period, be he Saxon or Norman, I don't think that he'd be getting hit with arrows unless he was flanked. Anyway, not a lot of stuff open here to hit. Me standing about shooting at the target, all I can see is some legs possibly. It'd be very difficult to hit if he was running at me. My eyes would be like this. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure and tell us down below what you think about it. Like and subscribe, and farewell.